I'm not crying. You are.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
The scenes between the Doctor and Sam and Starfleet Academy Episode 8, The Life of the Stars, are powerful and emotional. But it also seems to create a massive plot hole. While a lot of people are calling it a writing mistake, I'm going to show you why it might actually be the most brilliant and subtle piece of storytelling of the entire season, hiding all its clues in plain sight. I'm Will, and welcome back to Scene a Nerd Presents Blurred Trek. Last week in Star Trek, The Life of Stars was a real return to form for Starfleet Academy, an emotionally complex hour that finally addresses the cadets' issues of trauma from the USS Miyazaki disaster. But buried inside this powerful episode was a powerful moment that left many of us scratching our heads. The Doctor's baffling refusal to help and mentor Sam, the only other holographic being at the Academy. At first, it felt cold, illogical, and for a character defined by his desire to be more human, it just felt wrong. It looked like the showrunners were creating a problem just for the sake of creating drama. But what if I told you this wasn't a plot hole at all? What if it was the exact opposite? What if it was a deliberate, carefully constructed bit of misdirection, designed to play off a character arc that has been quietly running for almost 30 years? An arc that began long before Starfleet Academy even was a glimmer in anyone's eye. Today I'm exploring the Doctor and Sam storyline, looking at it through the references from classic theater, and revealing how this plot hole is actually a moment of hidden genius. So, let's first explore the clues for and make the case for a plot hole. Why this felt so off for many viewers is because it really is a very strong argument that it was a writing mistake. On the surface, the Doctor's behavior seems completely inconsistent with his established character. This is the emergency medical hologram from Star Trek Voyager, played brilliantly by Robert Picardo. And we've seen this character evolve from a simple algorithm into one of the most complex and compassionate figures in Starfleet history. He took up hobbies, he made friends, developed a profound appreciation for life, even opera. But he wasn't just a doctor, he was all those things and more. So when Sam, a bright, optimistic, and totally unique photonic life form, shows up at the Academy, who better to guide her through this than the original EMH? Sam is a cadet who never had a childhood, and she lacks the programming to process trauma the way the organics do. And the trauma that she was having was the glitching, and also from the events from the prior episodes. So for all practical purposes, she's a child in an adult's body, navigating a world having never been built for her and having the coping skills programmed into her. So the Doctor, who has been active for nearly 800 years, is the only person in the galaxy who could possibly understand what her situation feels like. And his refusal to help doesn't only feel cold, it just feels like a dereliction of duty, the very betrayal of what the Hippocratic Oath he represents stands for. So for weeks we've seen him push her away, and often he was cruel and attached about it. He was dismissive and even detached, and sometimes even just bordered on hostility. It all seemed like a manufactured conflict. But also, the writers also created a second problem, where they did they clearly state in the episode that Sam was and we know that she was only in existence for a short amount of time before coming to the Academy, and that meant no childhood. And they solve it with an equally contrived solution through how fast time runs on Kai's versus in the normal space-time. But this fast-forward childhood upbringing still avoids all the messy, painful lessons that real childhood entails. They made the Doctor act completely out of character up to this point, simply to facilitate this neat, tidy arc at the end of this episode. Here you have a being who has fought for his own rights, who craved connection, and who always went above and beyond his original programming, now turning his back on a vulnerable cadet who desperately needed him. And it's easy to see why fans felt that this was a plot hole, and also a portrayal of his entire journey. But that feeling is exactly what the writers were counting on. And furthermore, I have to say, one last point before moving to the counter argument, while we did get that solution at the end of the episode, the underlying issue of not providing the messy parts of Sam's growing up still seemed to be present. So let's now move to the counter argument for why it could be argued that this was a brilliant misdirection. And this is where the story could be viewed as a masterful piece of long-form storytelling. The key to understanding the Doctor's behavior in the life of the stars isn't found in Starfleet Academy. You actually have to go back to a single gut-wrenching episode of Star Trek Voyager that first aired back in 1997. This episode was called Real Life, and in it, the Doctor, as part of his ongoing quest to experience humanity, creates a holographic family, a wife, and 2 kids, Jeffrey and Belle. At first, the program was way too perfect. So it was a sugar-sweet fantasy, so engineer B'Elanna Torres tweaks the program to introduce more realistic elements. Things start to go wrong. His daughter Belle gets into a horrible accident and suffers a near inoperable brain injury. The Doctor, who could cure just about anything, is forced to stand there helpless. And as he watches his daughter dies, he ends the program, crushed by overwhelming grief. And because of how TV worked back then, they just moved on. The show never really followed up on that trauma. So Starfleet Academy just dropped a bombshell in this episode here in 2026, where we learned he never got over it. For nearly 800 years, the Doctor, with the perfect recall of a hologram, carried this fresh, agonizing memory of the loss of his child. The trauma is real to him now in his own Star Trek Academy, as it was in Star Trek Voyager all those centuries ago in the Star Trek timeline. So suddenly his behavior makes heartbreaking sense. When he first met Sam in the Satio Atrium in the pilot, he didn't see a fellow hologram, he saw a ghost. He saw his daughter Belle, Sam's sweet, most hopeful smile, and it was an unbearable reminder of what he had lost. The cruelty wasn't a character flaw, it was a defense mechanism, a deeply flawed but painful and profoundly human one. He was terrified of loving anyone again, only to lose them. And as he confessed to Chancellor Aki, quote, "The only thing that allows me to bear my infinity is not having to love anyone." It's a devastating admission that reframes everything we've seen up to this point. Before I move forward, let me know your thoughts so far as the point, counterpoint, and if there's some other points that lead to a plot hole or a misdirection, leave them in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit that like button, and also, if you're so inclined, subscribe to the channel. Let's go to the next part of the story, which is how the Life of the Stars had a great connection to an old play and used visual storytelling in a masterful form by using an old 20th century play and a narrative device introduced to us by Sam at the prompting of a visiting Lieutenant Sylvia Tilly, who's returned to Star Trek Academy in an even more aggressively sunny way than she was in her Star Trek Discovery days. And so she has the cadets staged a play as a form of group therapy, and it actually works. The choice of the play is no accident, having Thornton Wilder's Our Town, and it's a story about the simple, profound beauty of everyday life, the importance of companionship, and how fleeting our existence is. Even if you haven't seen the play or haven't seen it in a long time, the episode gives us enough context to know what the theme is, and it fundamentally asks the question, do we ever truly realize life while we live it? And the play's themes of love, loss, and mortality resonate perfectly with the cadets' unprocessed grief. We see this especially in Tarima's arc, for example, where her struggle with survivor's guilt finds a voice through the play, and allowing her to mourn not just her crewmates, but also the simple, everyday moments that they'll never have again, and they can't go back to what was before, but she has to figure out how to live with that and move forward. But the play's themes are also speaking directly to the Doctor. He has become the stage manager of his own life, a narrator standing on the sidelines observing but never really participating. He has existed for centuries, but he hasn't truly lived for a very, very long time. And this is a challenge that Chancellor Aki lays before him. Quote, "Is it time for you to stop telling a story and be a part of it?" It's a direct echo of the core of the play's central message, and you have to appreciate the precious nature of life by participating in it. The episode's visual language also reinforces this beautifully. The solution to Sam's developmental needs is on the photon world of Cask, and the solution raises as many questions as it does answers. Because when the Doctor first takes Sam there to watch over her accelerated growth, the landscape is shown in muted gray scale tones. His own emotional emptiness made manifest. But as Sam is born and begins to grow, the color palette floods the landscape. It's a powerful visual metaphor, linking Sam's rebirth directly with the Doctor's emotional reawakening. However, this perfectly curated childhood, free of scraped knees, genuine heartbreak, and messy mistakes, feels hauntingly familiar. It repeats the Doctor's mistakes from centuries ago to create the perfect family, shielded from the very real traumas that build character. So now the question becomes, does this protected experience give Sam a history? Does it give her the resilience that she was missing before? Or is it just a beautiful simulation, leaving her still vulnerable to the universe's unscripted tragedies? So the episode's final 8 minutes are where many of these threads all do come together, and it is quite frankly one of the most moving elements of modern Star Trek. The episode's montage cuts between the scenes of the cadets there at the Academy doing their raw impromptu performance of Our Town, and it's also mixed with the shots of Sam's accelerated life on Cask, with the Doctor right by her side. And as these cadets find their release through art, the Doctor finds his through fatherhood. And as they grapple with mortality, he finally embraces the potential for an immortal love. He watches Sam grow, experiences joy and pains of being a parent, and in doing so, he finally begins to heal that 800-year-old wound left by Belle's death. What could have been incredibly cheesy on paper, a school play and a fast-forward childhood, it does become genuinely profound. And the Doctor's journey wasn't just a plot hole. It was a meticulously planned character arc that rewards longtime fans while also telling a powerful story in this new series. It took a simple episode from 1997 and used it as a foundation for one of the most significant moments of character growth we've seen in Star Trek. It's proof that the writers have a deep understanding and respect for the franchise's history and how you weave in legacy characters in a great way in the modern storytelling, in the modern shows. And to me, this reveal really elevates the entire season. It proves that the creative team at Starfleet Academy is playing the long game by planting seeds that grow into rich, meaningful stories. The Doctor is no longer just a legacy character who's there as a instructor at the Academy. He actually has a dramatic purpose. He has a family and is becoming a father to Sam. And so the man who, for the first part of the season, actively rejected that role, now he finally found it, and he is something 800 years later that he really hoped to have, and that's to be a dad. So whether this perfect simulated childhood has truly prepared her for the harsh realities to come is a question for another day. But for the Doctor, his healing has begun. So what do you think? Was this a mistake or masterful writing? I think the evidence points towards a moment of subtle but hidden genius by connecting the Doctor's actions today to deep-seated trauma from his past. The writers turned a confusing character choice into a poignant and emotional climax that just didn't resolve a plot point. They gave closure to a story that was from 30 years ago. But that's just my take. What do you think? Did this explanation work for you? Does how you view the episode? Or do you still think it was a clunky piece of writing? Let me know in the comments below, and your theories in the comments below as far as what's to come with Sam's journey. I read every single one. Please be respectful. If you don't like if you're just going to use it to like shit on Star Trek Academy, keep moving on. But if you have a genuine thought, please drop it in the comments below. Before I go, quick bit of news. Starfleet Academy Season 2 has finished filming. We don't know if Season 3 has been greenlit yet, but we do know that we'll at least get the second season coming in 2027. Stay tuned here on CNN Presents Blur Trek, and I'll fill in details as we get them for Starfleet Academy Season 2 and also hopefully Season 3. And if you enjoyed this look into Star Trek, please do me a favor, hit that like button and also smash that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and until next time, live long and prosper.